I have a question for Mr. Killer Bee. Hello, I've asked you questions again. This is Mike in Cleveland. I'm not a railroad man. I'm not a railroad man at all. I just have a model railroad in my basement. And I watch your channel. I watch almost every video you have. And you may know the answer to this. Are piggyback trailers subject to the same rules that rail cars are when it comes to getting charged? And what I mean by that is, like you've explained, if a car shows up at a customer, they have a demurrage clock. And when they release the car back to the railroad, that demurrage clock stops. Are piggyback trailers subject to that same kind of rules? So if a railroad, and you don't see them so much anymore, but in the 70s, it seemed to me 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and even into the 90s, you saw a lot of railroad branded piggyback equipment. Now, a lot of that, it seems to me, has gone by the wayside. I know CSX still has some containers with their logo on them, traveling around. EMP is Norfolk Southern and Union Pacific. Triple Crown was Conrail and Norfolk Southern for the automotive industry. But for general freight, like you used to see Norfolk and Western trailers, or Triple Crown trailers with Norfolk Southern's logo on them, or Conrail Trail Van or Conrail Mercury. Even into the 90s, Burlington Northern Santa Fe had trailers with their logos on them. You really don't see that anymore. Not really. With the exception of CSX's, containers, you don't really see that anymore. Even like Conrail Mercury, that was their double stack container. And I realize, I know, like I just said, EMP is Norfolk Southern and Union Pacific. But our intermodal equipment, is that subject to the same rules? Do customers pay a lease on those trailers? Do they pay trailer rental fee? Or say, you're a regular shipper all the time. Do you, say you're a dedicated shipper, like, how JB Hunt has dedicated, lanes where, guys, work on the same account. So say you're a shipper and you have equipment that's going out and coming right back to you. How does all that work? Are you charged for that equipment, or is that marketed and negotiated beforehand? Are you always constantly paying a demurrage fee and all that stuff? Or does marketing and the railroad kind of negotiate a better deal for you? Say you're the United States Post Office, which was a heavy user of Conrail Mercury. I mean, they had contracts with them. They had postal seals, the U.S. Post Office logo on Conrail Mercury trailers. And the trailers were assigned to specific mail contract routes. The post office isn't paying demurrage and all that on every trailer that says on every Conrail Mercury trailer, would they be? Or is that with the intermodal equipment, is that something completely different? Meaning, say like over here, this is MTD Yard Machines. They manufacture lawnmowers, snow blowers, blah, blah, blah. I have Conrail Trail Van as the major truckload carrier out of here. Would that in real life, would they be, say they ship out 6 trailers a day? Would the railroad be charging them demurrage on all those intermodal trailers? Or is that just the trailers show up and they get loaded and they create a shipment and they go to wherever they go, and then the railroad knows that this customer needs X amount of trailers on hand every day? And just, when one frees up, get it over there so they have trailers to load their shipments with. and we get, we make our money on the transportation, not necessarily on beating them up for, trailer demurrage and things like that. So that's my question. Are piggyback trailers treated the same as freight cars, or does a whole different set of circumstances apply to intermodal and piggyback equipment as far as demurrage and things like that? Do shippers do people who ship via truck trailer, via railroad branded, we'll say, piggyback trailer, are they, subject to the same car service rules as someone who ships via freight car? Or is it a totally different thing? I'm just curious how that works. Thank you for your time. Goodbye.